Hi, here Julian. I'm the singer of a band which is named Gorod from the southwest of France. We play tech death metal, and we've been touring for a couple of years now, and I have many stories to tell, but I had just to pick one. So, one of the craziest stories that happened on tour, it was 10 years ago, so we were 23, and it was in 2013 if I'm not wrong. It was in June, and we were touring in Japan, and that year was pretty crazy because we've been touring pretty much everywhere. We started with a European tour. We were playing Hammer Sonic, which is in Jakarta, so Indonesia, and afterwards it was an American tour as a headliner, and then finally to Japan. So you can imagine that in Japan we started to be a little tired. And this was in June, and June is the month of my birthday. This is an important detail actually. And we were playing 6 shows in the whole not the whole Japan, but from north to south, and touring with many different bands. Like the package was like 7 bands, and the Crown was the headliner, and there were Australian bands, Create Destroy, for instance. There was a Japanese band as well, and we were in a small bus, but that fitted like 28 person. So it was not bigger, not that this one, but there were so small seats that there was not room actually for legs, for nothing at all. But that was the deal, to make it profitable for everyone. And there was the show in Osaka. And Osaka was the day of my birthday. Yeah, that's why it's important. I was turning 31 years old, and I know that in Japan they do a very, very good whiskey, and I'm actually a whiskey lover. And that the show actually was crazy. It was sold out. It was packed. We had such crazy fun over there. But we had a long distance trip for the next show. It was in Fukuoka. It's approximately 600 to 700 kilometers, I'm not sure, but it's more than 500, so that's a long drive. And the van has to leave at 9 a.m., between 7 a.m. or 9 a.m., something like this. And it was time to go back to the hotel. And you know, Osaka, all the streets look really the same, but for real. And they've been told that already to us in the afternoon. And I was like, okay, yeah, they look the same, but it's possible to know where you are. But no, it depends on what state mind you are and what mobile do you have also as well, because it was back in the day and I didn't have a smartphone, I didn't have a GPS or stuff like this, and I wanted to party alone. So everyone gets out and I get out only on my own to celebrate my birthday, to drink whiskey. Then I get a little wasted, but totally wasted actually, to be honest. And I have to find a way back to the hotel. Impossible to find it. I was running all around the blocks, no way to find it. And then I was so exhausted that I fell on the ground. I slept on the street, like directly on the concrete, like this. And then I woke up like way later. It was approximately 11 a.m. So way after the bus call, and I had the old Nokia. You know, the old Nokia cell phone, the 3310, and it was low on battery, and then it was my birthday. I had like 40 or 50 messages, happy birthday, something. And I wanted to send to the others, I am alive. And typing the text, no battery. So no phone, impossible to reach anyone. And in Japan, back in that day, it was impossible to find a charger to charge this fucking phone. So I had no option. The only thing I had left on me was my wallets with my credit cards and my ID. And that's it. And the laminates of the tour with the name of the venues and the city. And I was like, I have to reach that next place. So that it was, I don't remember the name of the club, but it was in Fukuoka. And that was my purpose, to go to Fukuoka. How can I do it? And no one can reach me. And so I know they were afraid of it. Where the fuck are we? I had like 38 missed calls, I think. That's the right number. It's because I remember that. And then I decided, okay, I tried to find the venue. I didn't find it again. I tried to find a hotel. No way to find it. I say, okay, I have to go to Fukuoka. And this is what I did. Then I went first to the metro station, and everything is in Japanese there. The map, you understand shit, and no one speaks a word of English. And the entire day, I couldn't have a single exchange in English. I was asking questions to people in the They were answering me in Japanese, and that was it. I had no. The only thing I was able to say, I'm going to Fukuoka. Fukuoka, show me where. And people were answering me stuff, but they don't do a lot of gesture over there. They have different codes. It's super hard to get it. So first I had to take the metro. It's a super long story, but I finally managed to get a ticket. I jumped in the metro, but I didn't know where I was going. Not at all. I was telling them I have to go there, but first of all I wanted to fly over there. But people told me about the Shinkansen. The problem is that back in that time I didn't know what it was, but it's actually a train, a super fast train. And for me, I was going to the airport, but yeah, I just jumped in the bus, metro, the other buses and everything. And then I arrived at the train station. I was like, okay, that's probably it. So I got a ticket, and on the ticket I told them I'm going to Fukuoka, and it was written Osaka, Hakata. What the hell is Hakata? I have no idea what it was, and it was the only thing that I was able to read. This and the time. That was it. Then I jumped on the train. I was waiting over there. I didn't know what train was it. I was attending for the Fukuoka. This name never popped up. Then I jumped suddenly in a train, and the train was starting to go so fast. I was like, am I at the right one? I started to ask to everyone, where is it? Am I going to Fukuoka? And they were answering me stuff. I didn't understand a word. But then I arrived to this Hakata. So I jumped out of the train in Hakata, and then I started to get so tired, so exhausted that I almost passed away. Passed out. Passed away is dying. Sorry. I almost passed out, and I had to grab some food, and I grabbed some food in there. And then there was a guy who was sitting next to me. He was with his smartphone. That was an iPhone, I guess. And I started to ask him a question. But I forgot to say something. At the beginning of the day, I started to have a sheet of paper with inscriptions in Japanese. I couldn't understand a word of it, but I was showing it to people, and people was showing me the direction of it. So this paper was starting to be full, and he wrote more stuff on it. I was like, what did he do? And I went out with this silver paper, and I knew that I had to take another last metro. But I had no idea where I was. Even if I was on right side, on the wrong direction, I had no idea of it. And then I took the metro, and it told me the name of the station. There were 3 stations with this name, like Skansen something, Skansen. I was like, no, I would never make it. So that was the first station I was happening. The second one, so I jumped out in the middle. I chose the second one, and then I went out the street. Because there I was like outside. Where the fuck am I? And there was a little girl, like a young girl with a smartphone, like Googling stuff. And I went to her and said, yeah, sorry, I'm looking for this. I showed her a sheet of paper, and she told me, she was actually scared because they are not used to that you don't go to chat to people like that easy in Japan. This is a bit different. She was scared, but she just typed all the things that was written on it, and she showed me I was at 100 meters from the venue. I'm not kidding. I was walking the street, the next street on the right, and I saw one of the other guy, the Australian guy, somebody on the street. He's there! He couldn't believe he died because they thought I was dead. I was researched by authorities, by everything. So anything could have happened to me, and I was sleeping actually in the districts of Yakuza over there. So this is why they were super scared of everything. And you know what? They were just arriving. They were there like 15 minutes before, so I arrived exactly on time for everything, for the soundtrack, for the show, and it was my birthday. So I was like, happy birthday, and we made a song about it, which is named "Lost in Osaka" in one of our EP. Nice story, isn't it?